morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick, and welcome to Premarket Info. Joel's away this morning, so I will be flying solo. I'll analyze yesterday's market breakdown led by Apple. The Apple-Google pair traders. Apple has blew out 30 points yesterday, so I guess Kramer was right. He wasn't too late to the party. I thought he might have been late when it had already moved 60 points from a week and a half earlier, but it blew out another 30. European banks are weak this morning. U.S. financials down a little bit in sympathy here, but the market holding up pretty good considering how weak the European banks are. Jabil, Circuit, and Carnival reported earnings, and we're going to look at some key levels in your S&P top components. Let's start with the overall market here. We did have a breakdown there yesterday. We've been playing around with this 1443 number a number of times, 1444, 1443. Finally cut through it yesterday morning, straight through, sold off 20 points from the high, straight down in the first hour and a half, bouncing around 1435 and then just consolidating, but still looking overall weak here on the charts, although we are flat this morning. But really looking here, the chart doesn't look that pretty anymore. We had the nice consolidation, but it's like before where we had consolidation and a move up, consolidation and move up. Now we've had consolidation but a move down, and that is concerning. I think you won't find much support until you get into this 1425 area, but it all depends on Apple. Apple obviously led the charge down there yesterday. Stock continued to sell off after we reported the weekend sales for the iPhone 5 not being quite as high 2 days ago as some analysts had expected. That sell-off from the day followed through here once again. Really weak here yesterday, getting down and closing on the lows. Apple is actually trading down $1 again here this morning, down $1.50 at 672 after closing at 673.54. Looking out to the dailies, you don't have much support really until you get to these lows here that we set at 656 and 656.5, so kind of this double bottom area from September 11th and September 12th. So there's really still possible another 14 points below. It's hard to say where this is going to reverse because you do have a lot of people that are probably put on short positions, so you can always have that turn and reversal at any time. But that's a level that I would focus on, is that 656 area. There's just not a heck of a lot in here otherwise, but Apple is bound to reverse. What it likes to do is it likes to shake everybody out, fall another 10 or 12 bucks, and then turn around on a dime, make like a V bottom, and then start to go up again. It wouldn't surprise me if that happened in the next day or two, but it's very hard to pick bottoms because you just don't know where that's going to be. But Google still held on pretty strong after making a new high again yesterday at 764.89. It started to roll over when the broad market started to roll over. So you can see here early in the session making new highs, but then turned around and just started to sell off. Actually holding on to the or just giving back all of the day's gains and closing at the level that it had closed the previous day. Trading up here $1 this morning. I still like the relative strength in Google, but definitely the broad market is pulling everything down. Facebook is another one that has been selling off and did sell off with the overall market as well. Last 2 or 3 days, not good for Facebook. It is holding above this 20 so far, $20 level being that key psychological number. I think it might take it out here today though, trading 2021. I think it'll probably maybe continue to drift down and eventually spike through that $20 level. And then sometimes what you have is it spikes through and then pops back up to get those traders that are playing it through the 20, shakes those traders out. So don't be surprised if it cuts through 20, but then possibly spikes back up into the area at the 2025 area before it continues its downward move. But it's always difficult to say. The stock has fallen off $3 here. It's kind of in the middle of the 50% move from the whole 17 area. So 17 to 23, 20 is kind of the middle. So that's why 20 is a key area for this stock to hold. The oils yesterday broke down as well, but not before putting in another top. This Chevron level of 118.50 is absolutely enormous. It was yesterday's high once again. 3-4 days in a row it has topped out in this 118.50 area. That obviously is major, major, major resistance now, and the chart is starting to look really toppy just because so many times it topped out. There's some institution or some big trader that is selling a big chunk of stock up there in that 118.50 area, and they continue to sell it. If it obviously pulls back or if it comes back up and rallies, that's your area of major resistance. Similarly, ExxonMobil is finding major resistance in this 92.50 area. So I don't know if it's the same trader that's dumping the oils here, but somebody, big trader, is dumping at 92.50 as well. That stock obviously rolled over, is trading down a little bit here this morning. So I think I'm a seller of these oils into rallies. If the stocks rally, I'm on my own opinion, I think you should be on the sell side. A lot of the European banks weak here this morning. Deutsche Bank, the weakest of the bunch, trading down almost $2. It is a little bit tied with the euro. The euro is down here this morning as well, but the bank overall is weak. Closed at 41.43 on the lows. Now trading 39.63. This stock quickly has went from looking great to not looking great at all. Now cutting back through. So it went up very quickly to from 35 to 45 in about 6 trading sessions in early September. It has now given back over half of the gains. There's not a heck of a lot in here because we broke out from that consolidated area at 35. So there's just not a heck of a lot above and not a heck of a lot below. So this stock could have some continued downside here. Barclays, same story, but it's held up a little bit better than the Deutsche Bank, but is breaking down here this morning. 13.80 is where it's trading after closing at 14.10. Credit Suisse, another one. All these ones have held up a little better than the Deutsche Bank, but they are down here again this morning. 21.48 after closing at 22.11. So your European banks are weak. That could put some pressure on your U.S. financials, although Goldman Sachs is bucking in the trend. Last night it was trading up. Hasn't traded yet here this morning. 113.50, did trade up to 114.08 last night. Morgan Stanley, another one, hasn't traded a heck of a lot, down 4 cents here. Citigroup also trading just down 20 cents at 32.68 after closing at 32.86. So some of these financials looking weak. One I want to highlight, AIG. I do have a trading position on in this one. Remember that 32.50 area. That's a big number for that. The stock is now down at 33.08. It could possibly test that 32.50 area. That was where the secondary price from the government's offering was priced at. So I'd expect that 32.50 area to maybe have some decent support just because it's the number that secondary was priced at. Plus it's a big technical number on our charts as well. So I'd expect you to start finding support probably starting at 32.60 all the way down to 32.50. Jabil Circuit reported earnings last night. They weren't great. The stock is trading down. They had a miss, 54 cents against analyst estimates of 58 cents. Didn't have a great outlook either, and the stock is getting hit. Trading at 20.05 right now after closing at 20.97. This one's again, it's a stock that had a nice run up in July, had a little bit of a rough August, came back a bit with the overall market in September, but not nearly as much as some of the other stocks did, and then has started to roll over once again. It's cutting through a lot of areas here. When you open at 20, there's really not much until you look at this 1937 low set on July 24th. So if you're buying at 20, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, although 20 can sometimes be a big psychological number just because of the whole number factor. Carnival Cruises is cruising here a little bit this morning. It's up 65 cents here, 37.65 after closing 37.08. They reported earnings of $1.53 against analyst estimates of $1.43. Jefferies wasn't impressed, though. They're downgrading the stock today, but Carnival still up despite the downgrade and holding up quite well in the pre-market here. The market overall just down a couple of points, but Carnival's looks like it's going to hold on here okay. I would definitely keep an eye on yesterday's low at 36.96 though, or 2 days ago the low from 36.96. Oracle getting a downgrade at Atlantic Equities, sorry, and I just want to highlight, you can see this trend that we had drawn on. The trend was broken there yesterday. Maybe Atlantic is looking at that saying that trend's broken, we're downgrading the stock. 31.12. It's trading down 18 cents. I think rallies need to be sold on this one too. You had a key breakdown in a lot of sectors yesterday and a lot of stocks. So it's kind of a little bit of a bearish show here, but often you do get these spike ups and you get a chance to maybe get out or to lighten up your positions. So if Oracle was to spike or come back anywhere into upper 31s, I think you're going to find a host of sellers that are obviously been caught from playing this uptrend. Texas Instruments gets downgraded at Oppenheimer. I had drawn on this from a few days ago, this old trend line which has broken as well. Or old support line which has broken as well. A lot of these stocks are breaking down. The charts all kind of look similar with yesterday's move, so it's not pretty here either for Texas Instruments. It's trading down 30 cents on the downgrade at 27.50. I don't see a heck of a lot until 27, which is the August 2nd low. Going to look at a few of your S&P top components here. I know we've already talked about Apple. We've already talked about Chevron and ExxonMobil. Let's talk about Coca-Cola here. Here's another stock that held up okay yesterday. Sometimes your defensive stocks actually can go up in a weak tape, and it held up all right. And some of your other defensives were holding up okay yesterday too. You get this whole risk on, risk off trade thing happening, and some of the money, believe it or not, will actually go into stocks like this when the overall market is selling off. I do want to highlight this whole 37 area, 37.10, 37.11. We get a sell-off in Coke. That area is just enormous down there. I know there's some big institutional buying pressure at 37 itself as well. So 50 cents down from here, you have a lot of support. So if Coke goes for a sell-off, I think you got a pretty decent level down there in the low 37s. Kind of in the middle of nowhere here, but it wouldn't surprise me if some of these defensives do hold up. Procter & Gamble's another one, held up well yesterday, did not go out, sell off with the overall market. We know there's been some big institutional selling pressure that we've been talking about at $70. That held again yesterday, stock getting up to $69.97, meeting a lot of high frequency resistance in those 69.90s as they lean on that 70 level. And the stock did sell off a bit, but not nearly as much as the overall market. AT&T, another one that is defensive. It sold off somewhat yesterday, but did hold up okay. 38.08 is where it's trading right now, just up a couple of cents here. You kind of got this overall trend going here, but you just got to watch it. It starts to cut through 38. I might get nervous. AT&T is a defensive stock, but they are linked into Apple there a little bit, obviously, because they do sell some of the packages for the phones, so and they sell the phones, so that's a little bit of a concern if Apple continues to roll over. Maybe it puts a little bit of heat on T and Verizon, but they're the whole defensive play too, so that can put the upward pressure. So you kind of have two different things happening, where you get the defensive players coming into the sector that are buying it, and maybe the Apple sympathy players that are selling it down. Microsoft was holding up to that 31 level forever. We drew this trend line at broke yesterday. Stock not looking great, down another 10 cents here this morning at 30.29. So that 31 level now becomes major resistance here on the chart. And I think any type of rally up into the higher 30s will probably be met with sellers. IBM, another one. This 205 level is enormous for the stock. 204.90. Yesterday's low 204.95. Below that, it opens up significantly. It is trading up this morning at 205.09, so they are trying to defend that level a little bit. But I'd almost rather play the breakdown, I think, than playing it off that support from the long side. Starts to cut through it. You don't have a heck of a lot because we've had a huge run up in it from September when we were down in the low or into mid 190s. So lots of air below this 204, call it 204.90 area. GE is another one here. The stock has had a heck of a run in September, but started to crater there just a little bit yesterday. Had held up nicely after it went ex-dividend from 2 days ago. Held up yesterday, but kind of put in a double top. You could say 22.69 and 22.67, and that's never a good sign on the technicals. It's trading 22.23, and this stock kind of looks open to me up down to the 21.96 area. Call that whole area 22. So I think you could visit that area today. Overall, sorry for the bearishness here, folks, but it just doesn't look great with yesterday's sell-off. I'm hoping that we'll get some type of a relief rally, maybe just a bounce here, and where you get some of the value investors coming in saying, "Oh, I'm going to buy this market up." But I think you're going to be met with resistance. If you look at just the daily from yesterday, you're going to probably be met with resistance back in this whole 1445 to 1450 area where we found support before. So I'm kind of a seller of rallies on my own trading here, not really a buyer of dips. That's our show for today. Joel will be back with you guys tomorrow. Have a great trading session.